China, where are we right now on the boundary situation with our wonderful neighbor?
We have allowed people to talk to each other so that wherever there is some kind of a doubt, we can raise the level and resolve it. What I have done, I have empowered all the core commanders along the line of actual control to make sure that whatever issues can be resolved at their level where there is a misinterpretation of understanding and which can escalate to a violence. That should be something.
So when you say
The opposition leader Rahul Gandhi made a statement that Chief of Army Staff has already said that there was incursion in Ladakh sector.
Army should not be involved in the politics.
once you said that you want women soldiers to be like goddess Kali on the battlefield.
बुंदेले हरबोलों के मुख हमने सुनी कहानी थी वो
मर्दानी।
बड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी.
My guest today is the Indian Army Chief, General Upendra Dwivedi. This is the first time that a serving Chief of Army Staff has ever appeared on a podcast, and we are honored to have him.
How do I put faith in my domestic industry in the defense sector when they can't even produce a basic assault rifle, sir?
Earlier the license was not there for small arms production. So when the license is not there, how the R&D will start? Today, all the private manufacturers are saying, had you given me a lead time of 10 years, I would have been exporting this equipment to all over.
Did the preemptive strikes that happened, did that have an impact on these kind of incidents which are taking the violations or even cross-border movement?
People from across, when I was a youngster, they used to say, साथी आपका हुक्म तो दिल्ली से आएगा, हम तो यहीं से फायर करते हैं. Now what has happened from 2014, if you see, India has said very clearly that we will be assertive in our communication. And if required, we can be aggressive also.
Guy you've been having khana with and suddenly there's a casualty. How do you tell the family? How do you cope with that kind of a loss?
So there's a painful experience. But in infantry, armor, mech, RT, engineers especially, that we are one family. So even if you're having a get-together today, you'll find all the widows come. Everybody comes.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. My guest today is the Indian Army Chief, General Upendra Dwivedi. This is the first time that a serving Chief of Army Staff has ever appeared on a podcast, and we are honored to have him with us in our studio. General Dwivedi is the 30th Chief of Army Staff. He's been General Officer Commanding-in-Chief Northern Command. Prior to that, he served as the Deputy Chief of Army Staff, Information Systems and Coordination, and as the General Officer Commanding of the 9th Corps. General Dwivedi is the recipient of the Param Vishisht Seva Medal and the Ati Vishisht Seva Medal. Joining me in the podcast today is my colleague Ajit Dubey. General Dwivedi, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. At ANI, we are all very excited to have a serving chief coming in out here and talking to us. But I am going to begin with that sweet country on our northern border called China, जिसने सबके नाक में दम कर रखा है. So I just want to know where are we right now on the boundary situation, disengagement and de-escalation. In your press conferences, you say this, and beat reporters like Ajit know the meaning. But for in layman terms, what do these two terms mean? Where are we right now on the boundary situation with our wonderful neighbor?
So let me explain the disengagement part as such.
Sir.
So as you are aware, in April 20, that some places we had difference of perception and we had to lead to violent means. So when that happened, there was some kind of a, if I can say that, both sides were in contact with each other. And over a period of time, both sides then decided to get back. So when they get back, then it's called as disengagement. As you are aware, Rezangla, Rechenla, that's something which we had done earlier. But some places where we felt there is a requirement kind of resolve that issue further. So on 21st October 2024, we signed those documents or agreements, and thereafter, wherever such issues were still pending, we could resolve that. Now what happens once you have done that? What is the next stage? Next stage, like I keep saying, that both sides, in their own side, that is China side and India side, what you have done, you have constructed billeting, you have constructed few roads over a period of time. So what happens, the capability to bring the troops forward changes vis-a-vis what it was earlier. So if that be the case, what you do, you define the new definition that how do we go about ahead of as far as this is concerned. Though the petroleum grazing rights and other issues have been resolved, there is a need to harmonize this. And that's when the military side, you have seen that from the battalion commander till corps commander level, we have allowed people to talk to each other so that wherever there is some kind of a doubt, we can raise the level and resolve it. But all this is dependent on the SR meeting which took place under NSA, and the empowerment has been given to WMCC. This mechanism is basically...
Sorry, sir, to interrupt. SR, Special Representative. We have some, expats also watching it.
Yes.
So SR means
Special representative.
Right.
This had earlier taken place in 2019-20. Right. After that, it was put on hold. So this is the first time on 18 December this meeting took place, where some kind of a directions have been given out how to go about resolving this. Then the WMCC, that is headed by the Joint Secretary of the MEA, under which one of the reps of the military is also there. So then both sides sit together and provide us the strategic guidance. So as and when they provided the strategic guidance, based on that we'll move ahead. But meanwhile, what I have done, I have empowered all the corps commanders along the line of actual control to make sure that whatever issues can be resolved at their level where there is a misinterpretation of understanding and which can escalate to a violence, that should be something. So we had, what are we looking at? That is there a requirement for us to look into that do we need to reduce the troops? Do we need to kind of have more confidence building measures? So all this will only take place once we come to a common point. Okay, from here we will start and these are the steps which will follow.
Right.
So once the steps are decided how to go about it, we'll move ahead.
Sir, recently on the China issue, leader of opposition, opposition leader Rahul Gandhi made a statement that Chief of Army Staff has already said that there was incursion in Ladakh sector, and which was later do you want to say something on that why a serving chief is being misquoted or being dragged into a political thing?
This being a political question, I think the political answer has been given by Raksha Mantri ji in form of Twitter and MOD details description which has been given out. But two things which I learned from that first thing, it is important that I must make an endeavor that army should not be involved in the politics.
A month ago, you held a press conference and you said about the situation on the boundary, and I quote, "Has the terrain been doctored over a period of time? Yes. Both sides have doctored the terrain. Have both sides carried out constructions? Yes. Both sides have carried out some stocking and deployment? Yes. Therefore, what it means is that there is a degree of standoff." Could you explain to us what does doctored terrain mean? And when you say there is stocking and there is deployment, does that connote that there is an aggression from the other side, hence we are stocking, or they are doing stocking? What is happening? Like, if you can just explain these two terms.
So if you take your mind back to, let's say, 2007, 2009, even 2001, earlier the ITBP used to control this area. The Indian Army was negligible. Over a period of time, we moved ahead. Similarly, in case of China also. So over a period of time, they moved ahead. So when you have more concentration of forces, you require billeting for them. You require transportation for them. Therefore, roads and tracks are required. So it is not that we have come to the disputed area where there are some issues. We have basically, wherever we are, we have made ourselves more assertive, comfortable and deployed. If that be the case, so the terrain has to be doctored because you have to make the roads, you have to make the billeting. Since it has been made both the sides, therefore, this is what I wanted to say, that the terrain doctoring has taken place.
And the stockpiling and things, what does that mean?
Yeah, so when you have, let's say, earlier you had 100 troops, now you have 1,000 troops. So you need ration, storage, facility, everything for those 1,000 people. And let's say you say that tomorrow if the situation there's some criticality comes up, then you may have another 20 people or 200 people coming in. So you have to cater for their stay also, their ration also, their fighting capability also. So that is what
the other side is also doing the same thing?
It is both sides.
We have more soldiers on the border boundary as compared to the earlier situation before 2020, before 2018. Is there more people there? that we have?
So what we see that what was there in 2019 and what is there in 2024-25, definitely there has been an increase.
Okay.
And this is what both sides are looking at.
Okay.
Can we lead to decrease in the numbers now?
Okay. Both China and Pakistan, they have criticized President Donald Trump's proposal still at this, an informal proposal of selling F-35 stealth fighters to India during the American president's meeting with Prime Minister Modi in Washington, D.C. last week. And I'm quoting this. The Pakistan foreign minister said that, quote, deeply concerned over the planned transfer of such advanced military technology to India. So far, there's been no planning, is what has come out. But the Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said that the Asia Pacific region was not, and I quote, chessboard for geopolitical maneuvering. Forming exclusive circles and engaging in group politics will not bring security and will only harm regional global peace and stability. There's no formal proposal as yet for the F-35s. We don't even know whether Donald Trump's made an off-the-cuff remark, but Lockheed Martin has got very excited about it, and everybody is talking about this. Everybody also talks about two-front war and buying more equipment and things like that. What is your reaction to this antsy feeling that Pakistan and China are having after PM Modi's trip to the US?
So yesterday Defence Secretary has given out very clearly that this is a proposal and it's got a long ground to cover before we decide what you're finally going to take. The second issue is when you carry out the force structuring or capability building, you do it based on the threat or you do it based on the capability of your potential adversaries. So if you look at that, you have to build your capabilities based on the capabilities which are existing with your potential adversaries, then you need to cover a long ground. Mm-hmm. If you have to do that, then any kind of this modernized aircraft which is coming is the most welcome thing. But what kind of aircraft, which one to come, that is something the Air Force, I think, is better positioned to answer.
Right.
Sir, you talked about empowering the corps commanders and the battalion commanders to deal with issues that come up in their respective areas. Now, what does this empowerment mean, sir? And has it started giving any results to you in the recent past? Can you tell us any examples where it has helped, sir?
So if you take your mind back, when I took over as Army Commander, Dozen Command in 2022 Feb, the first thing I asked, okay, who all are talking to each other? It was told only corps commanders will talk to each other, no one below that. So moment you raise a level, you will find the degree of rigidity is much more. The science and art of battlefield tells you that forward troops who are in contact with each other would like to resolve the situation much more vis-a-vis the people who are sitting behind. So what I did, I started delegating this kind of a freedom to the battalion commanders, brigade commanders and others. So let's say a patrol comes and it says, look, you have crossed over my area. They say, no, you have crossed over my area. I can resolve this issue at the battalion commander level, or I can take it to the corps commander, and that level then it has to be resolved. So as a result, moment we started resolving this issue at the lower level, the confidence for the two people to talk and resolve these issues increased. Let's say the graziers, at times they inadvertently cross over to the other side. Earlier they used to kind of stop them, hold them. Now they say, okay, please go back. So once you have these kind of situation, the misunderstanding which used to be there has reduced vastly.
And sir, like what you're saying, like earlier if graziers crossed over and their release had to be secured at a very high level, and now it is being done at a local level and they are doing it on their own.
No, high level has two connotations. It's why Beijing also, if you're talking about, no, that doesn't happen. It means then you have to kind of talk to each other, then it is released. But at least from 2022 to what I am been seeing, that the relations are improving day by day, and they just quietly tell them, please go back. And our graziers also abide by that because they have not gone intentionally. It is just by mistake because they are not aware which side is what. So then they come back.
So the past week we've seen some activity at the LOC, 3 incidents, Naushera, and there was also Batal sector, and that was on the Pulwama anniversary, and then there was the Poonch, the sniper incident. Do you see a pattern which is emerging, and why is Pakistan upping the ante now?
Such kind of events keep taking place. So what is our aim at this stage? We have to make sure that in Feb 21, what the DGMO understanding was there, we should be able to maintain that generally. Some kind of friction here and there we should be able to resolve at the level where it is required to be resolved. So like you're aware that we have DGMO talks every Tuesday. So when there's a requirement to raise the level, we talk even at that level.
But 3 incidents in 1 week, it's not a very... since
Earlier
the
also
civil-
it happened.
It happened.
It happens.
Okay.
And that's why you have the flag meeting system.
Okay.
When you go for the flag meeting, you discuss frankly what is there, what not. If it's not getting resolved there, then we raise it to the DGMO level.
Since 2014, what has changed on the LOC? Did the preemptive strikes that happened, did that have an impact on these kind of incidents which are taking the violations or even cross-border movement? Has it changed at all?
See, if I look at 2014, I'll even go back.
Okay.
Earlier, if you remember, that the control on the line of control was too high from the Indian side. And people from across, when I was a youngster, they used to say, साथी आपका हुक्म तो दिल्ली से आएगा, हम तो यहीं से फायर करते हैं. ठीक है?
This is the Pakistanis telling you.
That used to. That's something which is there. And now, over a period of time, we have started delegating these kind of initiatives to the battalion commanders and brigade commanders. That is how you found that the boundary became live. Because now they didn't have to come back to Delhi. The delegation was high. Then only we decided in Feb 21 that it was not giving any advantage to both the sides. And then we said, okay, enough is enough. Now what has happened from 2014, if you see, that both sides have generally understood that we mean business. And India has said very clearly that we will be assertive in our communication. And if required, we can be aggressive also. So what you have just spoken about, it was a kind of an indication that look, if you force us, then we will be aggressive enough to communicate our intent.
So, as per Government of India figures, for the first time in 15 years of militancy in Kashmir, the local militant strength has fallen to single digits. Pakistan is relying more on cross-border terrorism is what the commander there has said, and you also mentioned this. But now we are entering the phase where the snows are going to start melting from next month onwards. Do you see, like every year which we have seen since the 80s and the 90s, a rise in infiltration which will happen?
सबसे पहले तो कश्मीरी से पूछिए कि स्नो कितनी गिरी है. The problem today is this time the snowfall has been really less vis-a-vis what
No
we were
sheen.
expecting. And this will have its own issue on the higher reaches. But what you rightly said, that when the snowfall is there, then the infiltration comes down to the south of Pir Panjal ranges. And as the snow melts, it goes back to the north of Pir Panjal also. But it does not mean the south of Pir Panjal will remain quiet. That will continue the way it is. The second thing what you have said, that the Indian side, the Kashmir side or Jammu Kashmir side, the local terrorist number has reduced. The number of recruitment has also reduced a lot. Why? Because from August 2019, India has very clearly conveyed its intent for the complete J&K, that what is India and what is J&K. And J&K is an integral part of India. And there is no compromise on that. I keep giving the example that one of the lady who was wife of one of the deputy chief minister, she said after August 2019, when my children went to the school, they didn't have a confusion when principal said, beta kal flag draw karke lana Independence Day ka. So didn't know kaun sa flag draw karna hai. But after 5th August 2019, children are very clear that which flag is to be drawn in their copy. So that is the intent which has been conveyed. So once that intent has been conveyed, it means the OGW's number will definitely go down. And the best part is you will find that the intelligencies, the security forces and enforcement agencies, NIA and others, all three have joined hands together to help Awam to come up on its own. And now you have injected the development. Once you've done all these things, definitely there will be a sea change. And that's why we are saying that our theme of terrorism to tourism is actually seeing signs of success today. More than 5 lakhs in Amarnath Yatra, it was never heard of earlier.
Yeah. And also, I think we watch Pakistani media, social media, and some of the podcasts that come out of Pakistan. there is this, all of them keep talking and saying कि हमने इतने साल तो आर्मी हमको कहती रही कि कश्मीर एक दिन हमारा बन जाएगा, कश्मीर अब देखो उन्होंने तो पूरा इंटीग्रेट किया, हम लोग रह गए. That is what the people are saying on the social media platforms. But do you see that change happening in the mindset of the Pakistani polity, Pakistani Fauj, that military establishment out there, that, you know, will they ever figure out that Kashmir नहीं बनने वाला पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा?
देखिए वो अपनी ही बातों में फंस गए हैं. देवानंद जी की एक मूवी है गाइड, आई थिंक नारायण जी ने लिखी है ये बुक.
आर के नारायण, यस.
आर के नारायण जी ने. उसमें आपको याद हो जब देवानंद जी साधु बन गए थे लास्ट में, एंड वो एक पागल सरफिरा आदमी था, तो उसने जाके अनाउंस कर दिया कि स्वामी जी ने बोला है मैं तब तक अन्न ग्रहण नहीं करूँगा जब तक कि बारिश नहीं होगी. अब पाकिस्तान आर्मी ने एक बार बोला है कि ये हमने करना है. नाउ दे डोंट हैव अ वे आउट ऑफ इट. So they will continue to go for, look, Kashmir हमारा है, ये है, वो है. This is point number one. Second thing is, if you read the book Revenge of Geography written by Robert Kaplan, both sides of Indus, can they be one? That's a big question you have to see. So, as far as they are concerned, the idea of India is their major criticality. It's not limited to Kashmir only. So to keep Pakistan together, you have to have one common agenda which can keep you together. Is the language same? Are the people same? What is same? Only anti-India stance. So therefore, Kashmir, they will keep hyping up at every point of time.
Right, so can't take your eyes off the ball ever.
Well, in recent times, we have seen that Pakistan Army and ISI officials have visited very sensitive areas near our border, near the chicken snake in Bangladesh, and the administration there seems to be a bit having a bit anti-India stance, even though not at the military level. Is that a cause of concern for you as Army Chief, sir?
So let me put across in two manner. I had used the word epicenter of terrorism for a particular country. Now that countrymen, if they go to any other place and they happen to be our neighbor, as far as I am concerned, I should be concerned about it. That they should not be able to use that soil to kind of send terrorists to India. That is as far as that is concerned. As far as the second setup is concerned, that how is the administration, my stance is that when we have elected government, then we can say how should be our relationship. But so the military relationship is concerned is very strong. And we are able to exchange notes whenever we want. And that's what we have been doing it.
I want to take you back to Kashmir, sir. Like you were the army commander, sir. पिछले साल में इन लोगों ने एक south of Pir Panjal in the Poonch, Rajouri, Jammu sector, they tried to infiltrate lot of, it was said they were SSG commandos and they had infiltrated, and then we suffered a lot of casualties, lot of operations were taking place, they were doing a lot of ambush. What was that, sir? Why was it happening? Like, what was their intent? Was it to, was there a larger design? Because I am seeing after a few months, all those incidents, attacks have stopped. Like, why did it happen, sir?
देखिए, कहीं भी इन्वेस्टमेंट जब आएगा वहाँ आएगा जहाँ पे रिस्क फैक्टर कम है. So what started happening that if you see the Poonch Rajouri area, the development was coming in. The Mughal road was being frequented by the tourists. Even Uyo, and if I can say that the guest rooms etc. were coming up for people to come and visit. If you see, there was an ad also that we will show you line of control also from various places. So suddenly the money started getting invested, people started becoming interested towards that. Same is the case with the Doda Kishtawar. Now moment you have that, what it shows, that if you shun terrorism, the development will come. Now that was a major cause of worry. Secondly, what had happened? That you keep kind of readjusting your force level depending on the threat profile. So some forces were adjusted here and there. So there were gaps which was there. And the gaps were exploited. So the police was also less. The int network was also focusing on somewhere else. The military was also comparatively less. So these gaps were exploited. And now if you see, once we have inducted approximately 15,000 troops more, you see the situation is normal. The OGWs have also gone down. And like I told you, the trio of the security forces, the int forces and enforcement agencies, all three have made sure that everything is all right there. And now you see the results, the way it's coming up.
But sir, was it really the Pakistan Army SSG which had entered? Any inputs on that, sir?
See,
Because there were a lot of claims that
serving I cannot comment on, but one of the people whom we had neutralized, then we saw his photo and we found that he was in the UN mission as a Pakistani soldier. So he has to be a Pakistani soldier. Serving or not, I cannot comment on.
In your Army Day press conference, you had said that the domestic industry has made very good advancements and in the field of loitering munitions. In layman terms, it's kamikaze drones. There are apparently some 400 companies making drones and drone components in India. Where is Make in India in the defense sector poised right now? Could you tell us a little bit on that?
So let me take loiter ammunition first. As far as loiter ammunition is concerned, what you rightly said, there's 2-3 kinds. One, it keeps loitering and then comes back to the place from where it started. Or it can be kind of a use against a target. And the second one is kamikaze, what you already said, that it will go, it will not retrievable, it will go and destroy something. As of today, there are 40 companies in India which are making this. And approximately 900 crores worth, that is approximately 550 equipment, we already bought as far as loiter equipment is concerned. And now what has happened, see, R&D when you do it, you want to put that cost also as part of the sale price. But as the number increases, your R&D cost goes down. So then what happens, in approximately 1,200, I am looking at 900 plus equipment now. And I have already catered for a budget of approximately 4,000 crore to cater for approximately 3,000 again loiter ammunition. So
Are these all completely indigenous? Because there are the components factor. I mean, we also saw Rahul Gandhi holding up a drone and talking about it, and then there was a lot of bawal utha ki ye kya hai, why Chinese drones and things. So are the components completely indigenous? Do they need to be completely indigenous? Can we get components from elsewhere also and use it in our drones?
see, India is follower of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Word is one. So what it means, word is one and Atmanirbharta, both have to combine together. Finally, what we want, our desire is to have 100% equipment production in India. But it doesn't mean it has to happen today. It can happen after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So as of now, whatever we can produce, we have. Whatever critical component which are required to be bought from the secured, which are highly assured security, that we are buying. But over a period of time, we are also looking at alternatives to that to be produced in India. So when you say, is it 100% Indian? That is something very difficult for me to comment at this point of time.
you said we are looking at buying loitering munition worth 4,000 crores. Now, what is it? What all capabilities do you want in this loitering munition, sir? And why so much of stress on kamikaze drones? Like, is it a lesson drawn from the Ukraine, Russia and other wars that are going on? And if so, sir, we saw the Iranians and in Russia-Ukraine war
Also the pager crash.
Yeah, they are all using very basic kind of drones with not very high value drones for all these attacks. So, are we moving in that direction, sir?
So why do you require loiter ammunition? Loiter ammunition is required because it is against anti-personnel, so group of personal enemy, then against the light-skinned vehicles, then against the tank, and then top attack. So
Even
tank
can be taken down by a drone?
Yeah.
No, it's a loiter ammunition. So a munition which is there, it can be a missile also.
Okay.
Let's say something which is spike missile today has the capability which is called as lock on after launch. So if there's a, let's say, a hill in between, so you fire from here, it goes across, sees the tank, and thereafter you can say, okay, this is the tank you need to destroy. So that is also a kind of a
drone, yes.
Yeah. So this loiter munition is something, it can be used against a tank straight also, that is head on the side or front, and top attack also. And what you have seen in the Ukraine war, the top attack drones or loiter munitions have been the most successful ones. Now coming on to what you have learned from the Ukraine war. The two things which you have learned is, firstly, that the duration of war is not within your control.
Yeah.
It is equally to be decided by the enemy and all those who are supporting the enemy in the background. That is point number one. Secondly, adaptation under fire. It means your leadership should be able to adapt to the situation, the technological innovations and indigenization, all these things you should be able to adapt. And the third thing is you should be able to quickly change the doctrine of application or the TTPs, what we say.
But also manpower, right? Ukraine
Yes.
in the initial couple of weeks had that issue with manpower. They didn't have enough standing army. So that is also something that we have to look at.
The third thing, what you rightly said, is the citizen warrior, where every citizen becomes a warrior, because the war is not fought by the military alone, it is fought by the nation. So when the nation fights, everybody plays an important role. Space warrior, cyber warrior, info warrior, all these people are already in the background, they are not in front.
Okay. So my question naturally will be about this integrated battle groups that we are talking about.
And
everybody-
sir, like, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. On this, sir, you said we need more numbers. What I can understand is in terms of fighting force which is ready. So, in this context, you think the Agniveer scheme will help us meet the numbers in case of a future war? There are trained people, trained citizens ready to fight for you when you need them?
So let's see, earlier there used to be a system of reservist.
Yes, sir.
Over a period of time, we realized reservist is not working that much. Now, Agniveer is what? You train for 4 years, thereafter you are available. And the way we are seeing that the Home Minister ji himself has said that I will be absorbing a large number of these Agniveers, even the state police forces and others have also said.
paramilitaries and
So, when you look at the whole of nation, what is the strength? It's 12 lakh army, you have the Air Force, you have the Navy, and you got the CAPFs. So, as far as the force number is concerned, we have got adequate. And this Agniveer will be an add-on. Now, Agniveer, what advantage does it give you? That is this technologically more aware, more adaptable. That is the advantage which you have. And the one which you find is better, you keep it. Rest all go back into the mainstream and they become responsible citizens of India. But they are available to you at any point of time.
But you also need an agile fighting force. And these boys and girls who are coming out into Agniveer, and then when you form these integrated battle groups, I'm presuming they are young lads, young girls who will be there and trained to take on these hybrid wars, which are going to be the future wars, right? Am I?
Yes, you're correct. I'll take you just back that what is the generations of warfare. There are 5 generations of warfare, starting from trench warfare. Then we had the machine guns and artillery. Then we have the maneuver warfare, the tanks and others came in. Thereafter, what you rightly said, use the word hybrid warfare, the non-state actors came in. And the 5th generation is artificial intelligence, quantum, cyber, space. So as you find that in the last stage, that the 5th stage which is there, this young generation will play a very important role. But the point to note is that in Indian conditions, I have to cater for all the 5 generations of warfare. The trench warfare is not going away. The machine guns and artillery is not going away. So I have to cater for this also, I have to cater for this also. So I have to have a healthy mix of all the experienced soldiers who can fight 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th generations of warfare, and also have to young generation which should be able to cater for the 5th generation of warfare.
Okay, so for those who think that ab ye aa gaya hai, ye nahi hai, you're saying it's going to be all through. I have this quote which from Raksha Mantri, I was just reading about this, and I'm quoting from what he said recently. He said many unconventional methods like information warfare, AI-based warfare, which you just said, proxy warfare, electromagnetic warfare, space warfare, cyber attacks are now posing a challenge to us. The dominance of different countries in the availability of electronic chips is also a problem. Monopoly on rare earth materials also indicates a big challenge. Hybrid warfare and grey zone warfare are adding to our challenges. So if you can break this down for me, how are the electronic chips a problem? What is grey zone warfare? These two things.
Okay, so firstly let me explain what is grey zone. As far as the grey zone is concerned, simplest term if I can put it, that anything which is non-conventional in nature, non-kinetic in nature. Are we fighting the grey zone battle today? Yes. If the power, let's say the power production house, there is a blank and the light goes out if there's a train transit system, if that stops, if something happens, is it part of the grey zone? Answer is yes.
Okay.
So the grey zone is something which is going in all these fields which you have already said,
Okay.
including what we are talking about, what is happening in J&K. Is it part of the grey zone? Again, it's part of the grey zone. So grey zone is something which will remain where it is non-attributable most of the time. Now coming on to the chip which is there, or the rare earth material. This is something which is, I think the whole world should have taken a note of. That do we want anybody to have a monopoly? If it's a monopoly, what will happen? That the denial for others will take place. And denial of facilities and services for others will create a problem for their fighting capability. And that is why we are now trying to make sure that we should be Atmanirbhar in these things also.
Right.
And as far as the mineral rare earth material is also concerned, it's available all over the world. So it's high time that the like-minded people should get together and approach those countries that, look, we need to carry out trading in this aspect also.
Right.
You have been supporting the indigenous industry a lot. I've seen you driving the new quick reaction fighting vehicles in Leh, sir.
This is what happens, sir, when Ajit is there, because beat reporter hai, he knows, he's seen more than me. So that's why he has a leg up on me.
Yeah, I remember he was there that day.
Yeah. So I've seen you driving that. I've seen you moving around, trying new rifles and all those things, sir. But when we talk about indigenous industry, sir, the basic assault rifle that our troops use is now the 6-SOR, which is American, and in future they'll be using, and now they've already started using the AK-203 in large numbers, which is a Russian joint venture. So, sir, like, as a common citizen of the country, how do I put faith in my domestic industry in the defense sector when they can't even produce a basic assault rifle, sir?
So you have faith in ISRO?
Yes, sir.
You have? Why? Because ISRO was encouraged to carry out those things much before others were told. Nuclear power plant, you have faith in that? Because this was again started much earlier. Therefore, now coming on to this small arms. Earlier the license was not there for small arms production. So when the license is not there, how the R&D will start? Today, all the private manufacturers are saying, had you given me a lead time of 10 years, I would have been exporting this equipment to all over. Finally, 2017, the small arms production for the private parties was given. And from 2017 and 2025, you see what has happened. We have been able to produce a lot. But as far as the trials, thereafter acceptance and making it as per the requirement of Indian Army, everything takes time because it's an evolving process. Now to catch up on that time, what we need limited amount for our fighting forces because of the tensions which are prevailing along both the borders. You agree with me on that issue?
Sir.
Now, what is the balance requirement? There is a CAPF which is 5 to 6 lakh, you need weapons for that. You rightly identified AK-203, approximately 6 to 7 lakhs would be required. Let's say we require a great number of the light machine guns. Carbines which you require about 4 to 5 lakhs. So the market is huge. And this market is going to be coming, or the purchase is going to come from India only. So all these weapons are going to get flooded over a period of time, even sniper rifle. So when somebody says that, look, my weapon is ready. Yes, if your weapon is ready, there are procedures. And the procedures are falling in place. Today, when I say that the Indian industry is ready, and by 2027, these weapons will start getting inducted into the Indian Army.
Are they comparable to the foreign counterparts? Because we have been buying so far. Are they comparable to the foreign counterparts in the manufacturing sector?
As far as the small arms are concerned, we are only taking when they are comparable or much better.
Okay.
That is what we are looking at. But if you look at, we need to give impetus to Atmanirbharta or Make in India. So we have to see that it has to be a spiral development. So let's say even if equipment may not be of that superior quality, but if it's a shade below also, but if it meets my requirement for the time being as a Mark 1, I should take it. Then I move for Mark 2. But as the small arms concerned, the individual equipment is concerned, that is the top notch.
Sir, in this field of indigenization, we have seen a lot of companies like Tata's, Kalyanis, they're making these quick reaction fighting vehicles, infantry combat vehicles. So I've also seen them operating in the Ladakh sector, sir. Are they comparable to the BMPs that are already in the force, sir? And we are now talking to the US for the strikers. So what are we looking in that equipment, sir?
Okay. So there are two kinds of protected equipment, what you say. One is which only provides you protection, but it does not have any integrated platform for you to fight the battle while sitting in that equipment. So the equipment is basically like a carrier. The other equipment, it has a platform, it has a visibility factor, it has firepower, it has a protection, and it can support integrated battle with other, if I can say that, class vehicles which are there, tanks and BMPs. So there is a difference between the two. Is the Indian market ready to it? It's evolving. If the other country is ready to come up and carry out any kind of a collaboration with these production houses, we are getting technology in a much faster time frame. That is what we are looking at.
So when you talk about the strikers, sir.
Any vehicle for that matter.
Okay.
Striker is one of the options. Anything which is coming with an integrated platform, integrated system, fire control system, if I can say that, the visualization system, the firepower system, then definitely both the parties can sit together and give me a platform which is indigenized and meeting the requirement of India.
So robotic technology, we are seeing it in the medical space. We are even seeing it in civilian use, in malls and all that. We are seeing robots going. We've seen countries use it, and even in some cases in our country for demining. Will we see more of that kind of technology in the war front, on the ground?
You take the example of drone. Drone we are looking at for even deploying the mines and even for identifying the mined area for the demining purposes also.
Okay.
So what it means that everywhere, wherever we can use the technology, we must use. But we have to be slightly cautious also on this issue. Because if you see the Minority Report 2002 of Tom Cruise, when the psychologists who were there, or they could tell the future, they could also tell you the alternate future. So you didn't know that what is correct, what is wrong till the time Tom Cruise realized, oh, look, I am also going to be punished because this is alternate future which is talking about.
Yeah.
You also take the example of iRobo Will Smith, where they realize that the robots are the ones which are actually enemy though somebody else is controlling. So moment you have this in the battlefield, these robots may be sent by me. But if somebody is able to kind of control them, then they may turn back and start firing at me also.
Yeah.
So what it means that all this technology which is there, it enhances the efficiency in the battlefield of the human being.
Yeah, okay, that's a point. I didn't realize that, it's not just celluloid, it can even happen in real life. I was just thinking, for example, if you need to clear an area or you need to check whether Naxals have planted before our troops go there, or, whether this road it's not just celluloid, it can even happen in real life. I was just thinking, for example, if you need to clear an area or you need to check whether Naxals have planted before our troops go there, or, whether this road